like results, just briefly, of 25 experiments that we recently done, like collective experiments on the website. Yeah, it's everything like just the beginning, but I'll just show what we got. Yeah, and let's talk about mistakes we did, I think, and what can we do next with all of this.
Right.
Anton, did you integrate some feedback from yesterday?
Into experiments or into slides?
Yeah, slides, ideas, discussion.
Yeah, so slides almost the same. I just added a little bit of explanation, but I think everybody here almost know what is like normal distribution, but yeah, a little bit changed them, but like I didn't do anything about experiments yet. It's kind of a bit more complicated task to organize that stuff.
So I have a question for either Serge or Anton can probably answer this. So I'm working with the Mind system, and I've noticed that if I just use regular water, tap water, it takes a long time for it to settle down. Sometimes it never settles down. If I use single distilled water, it actually takes a lot quicker. So I'm wondering whether it would even be better to use a triple distilled, triple pure laboratory grade water rather than
not really. We test a few different double distilled, triple distilled. The point is it should be enough ions present in the water. If too low ions, there is no electrochemical dynamics at all, and I mean you don't see anything. But if you have too many ions and there is ongoing electrochemical reactions of different types, and then it's more or less, it's a kind of chaos. So it's just simple technical quality distilled water, absolutely enough.
Okay.
All right, so we'll be starting. Thank you everyone for coming. Hello, people who just came. It's very nice to see all of you to see. And my name is Anton. I'll be presenting today about our project, AquaPsy. It's like aqua, water, and the psi from psychology. We're building the online platform to do experiments with consciousness. So online help us to bring like consciousness around the world, organize them, and kind of use them at the same time, so we can all at the same time like do something. Yeah, so kind of put our power together and try to see what happens. How I want to first talk about the history or story, how everything started, why I'm doing, and what is my motivation. Like about 10 years ago, I was involved into like informational medicine. It's where people use not pills, not like something like this or like surgery to treat themselves, but like information from people, something like homeopathy, but also a little bit next step. It's like digital homeopathy. And during that time, I worked a lot with different practitioners who also use different devices to diagnose people, like connecting wires to person, and then measuring different signals, feedback from like person's body, and see what kind of diseases they have. And then after they diagnose them, they would come up with some treatment. And I noticed like many times then these practitioners can have very like strange treatment. Have very strange treatment for their like patients, but that still worked. And I saw that in many different like situations. And I was thinking maybe it's not important the treatment people like doctors like apply to their patients, but actually the confidence in something that the practitioner has that actually have effect on the patient. Also, there's a lot of practitioners who do like distant healing, just through the picture. They also maybe apply their intention or something to the picture, or using even some devices to treat the photo of the person, and the person gets better. So there's definitely something going on with all this connection between a real person, like a real object, like person, with their photo. and the first of all, and then there is real effect happening. Yeah, that also, like all the work that Serge Cameron did, like all over the years, they, like technically their lab specialize on measuring all of these weak effects, you know, like something really like small that nobody knew existed before, but a lot of their work they build devices of different sensors to measure that effects that nobody knew before even. Yeah, and one of their devices and system is this electroimpedance spectrometer. It has two channels, left and right, one or two, both of them like equal. In each of them we have usually distilled water and a couple of electrodes. And this device can constantly measure electron conductivity in each of these sensors. And they started from local experiments. When in the same like room, you have this device, the device recording conductivity of both water samples during like some time, like, and then at specific time. So for example, they start recording at in the morning, then in the middle of the day, also like just some random time, they bring some person who claims they maybe have some, you know, like maybe Reiki master or person who have some abilities to like influence, or he think they have those abilities, and they tell them, okay, here's a sample, try to influence that water like remotely, maybe like 5 meters apart, and they're doing that. So they did like a lot of those experiments, and they saw that using that feedback, they developed all the system, and it works in short distance for sure. And then they start increasing the distance. And when you increase the distance, you have to, because you cannot see like, you know, few kilometers away from you to see that sensor. So you have to use a picture of the actual, like, of the actual water sample. So you can target your impact, and they use that approach. Yeah, some people say that maybe there's some kind of entanglement happens when you make a picture of object, like for example, of water sample, and when you influence the picture, somehow they kind of entanglement. I mean, people use quantum entanglement, but also some people say like if you put quantum in some kind of explanation, it means you don't really know what's happening. So you just like use quantum entanglement just to kind of something we don't know, but here's a word. Yeah, so it's kind of weird. We don't know how it exactly works, but people, yeah, there's like big history and people using the pictures and influencing, and it seems to work. So that's what we, next step, what we did, we built the website to use power of this device and bring it to like anybody who want to try to use it. So next I will show you how actually the device is connected to the platform and how anybody can use it. So this device, as I told, this is just a sample of the device. Actual device is that connected to our AquaPsy platform, actually located in Germany in the closed lab. So nobody have access to the lab. There is a controlled temperature and as much parameters as possible, so the device stays stable and there's no much effect done on the disturbances done on the device. The device is constantly running, like 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Somebody have a question? Or you say hi? Hello, hi. Okay. Yeah, they're constantly connecting, and the website always takes data from those devices. And on the platform, you can book that device. So it will be only for you for the session time, and nobody else can have access to it. So only you can concentrate on the image of the water sample. Also, yeah, how we connect and influence the water sample through the photo of the sample. Here's on the right side of this slide, you can see a device, and we have photo of the actual water sample. Person concentrate on it, and something happening, some effect. And after the session, you will see the results. That's how actually results looks like. Just one of the samples I would say it's like, if you see something like this, it means you were successful in your experiment. But we will talk about what is successful, what is not successful also a bit later. So what you can see from this graph, you can see here is white area. This is a background measurement. This is about 1.5 hour measurement right before you started your effect, right before your session is started. So here's the two channels, red and black. They show each device have two channels. It's kind of like one of them can be considered as a control, and the channel that you actually see the picture of on the screen during the session is a targeted channel. So in this experiment, the targeted channel was channel number 1, the red one, and the gray area, it's a period of time when your session was happening. So you can see then when the session started and person was trying to influence the image, the impedance of this channel started to rise and got some value. So besides just graph, we have some numeric values. And the first value is psi, like psi value. It shows how strong, how much this like your graph declined in this area compared to the background measurement. So the higher the psi value, the higher the change, stronger the change. And the next value, maybe even more important than the psi value, is a pro value. Pro value shows whether your influence was actually significant. So because maybe even we have like high psi value, but just because it happened, not because of your influence, it just happened because something else was happening in the location of the device. So how actually pro value is calculated? Besides recording this active session when somebody was influencing, we also recording all the passive sessions. Passive sessions when nobody influencing, because we're running device always recording. We have already about 6,000 passive sessions recorded over like last year. So we have that like historical data, and using the historical data, for example, like 1 week before this session, we can say that this psi value not actually so big compared to previous passive sessions. So that's why maybe pro is will be higher. So here you should understand that the higher the pro value, it's kind of less significant. Is my connection is good? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Sorry, just showed that it disappears.
Yes, we can hear you fine.
Thank you very much. And the lower the pro value, the better. It means there's almost 100. If you have pro equal to 0, it means that probability of that this was random is 0. Again, like it's all based on the historical data we record, and this value is very important. And then we have kind of like combination of the psi and pro value is score value. We kind of make it like psi multiply 1 minus pro and multiply to 1,000 just to remove decimal points from this number. Okay, next I'll talk about how we calculate the results of our previous like 25 experiments. Before I do that, I want to mention that like we cannot maybe treat now the system or like this method as some like express test. Okay, I like concentrating now. If I did well, my result will be good. If I did not good, my result will be bad. So it's still something about statistics to see whether you have some power, let's say. Let's person need to do 20 or 30 experiments, and then we would like run statistic and build some distribution, compare to passive sessions when nobody was influencing, and see whether you was able to shift with your concentration, with your intention, that peak of the normal distribution. So here, just some people maybe who doesn't understand what is like normal distribution, etc. Here, just some video, and this type of the system actually people used like many years ago, also to influence. Not exactly this one, just like a sample, but a little bit more like professional and big. So balls, you'll see now, balls will be falling from this top level, and then there will some obstacles they have. Yeah, and on each obstacle, it's kind of like 50-50% will go to left and going to right. I mean, exactly in this example, it's not perfect. Balls will be like going all together, like, and influencing each other. But usually, if you would throw one ball per time, on each obstacle, on each this dot, it will be left going only left or right. But you would still end up with this kind of distribution. Most balls would go in the middle, and less balls would go on the left side. So here's how it works. This is just for demonstration what is like a normal distribution. And here also, like, just pass forward to the kind of slow motion. You can see they fallen, and there's kind of like a what's considered to be a random process, but the nature is it will have this distribution. And the experiments of using this physical model, like many years ago, were done. People tried to watch the system and tried to decline, as I mentioned before, where this maximum peak would go. So theoretically, it should be in the middle. But practically, based maybe on some different conditions, maybe if this device is not horizontally leveled, then the peak will be shifted. Yeah, but everything should be leveled, and without any influence, it should be in the middle. But when people influence, it should go to the left or right. So using this kind of approach, we processed the data of the 25 experiments that we did on their AquaPsy platform. So some kind of like a disclaimer that those experiments, as we see now, how they were done and how like current level of the AquaPsy platform that we just built it, it's works in like technically, it gets data from devices, it like works, but currently the quality of experiments we did have to be improved. First of all, like with people who participate, now we have just random number of people who participate. We don't know who, we don't know what exactly people do during the experiment. We don't know what people do. Yeah, so we just let it go, and it was like first stage pilot project to see whether technically it will work and all this stuff. Yeah, so results maybe were a little bit like unexpected, I would say, but still it's interesting to talk about it and to discuss. Yes, so first here on the graph you see that normal distribution of our 25 experiments. On the axis you see the score value. On the y-axis you see the probability to get that value. And yeah, this is results of 25 experiments. It looks like that. Yeah. Then, I mean, like everything should go with comparison. For the control, we took here measurements of passive sessions exactly 24 hours before we did our sessions. So it's about 25 passive sessions where we had effect. If I'm disappearing, my connection or something, just please let me know. Okay, next on this graph, we added a passive session. It's like minus 24 hours before we captured the active sessions, where people, in average, was about 7 people participating in the experiment. So we see here that's like average value of each, where the peak, it's average. It was shifted but surprisingly, it was shifted like in like different direction. So this is blue is a control, red is our test. So what we would expect and what we kind of like trying to do, actually to make test value, score value is higher. So we were expecting that red would be like this, you know, like shifted to the right side. So we have like a higher score value, but it actually like happened opposite. Yeah, it's like many questions like why. And we still kind of didn't answer the question whether it's possible to influence, you know, the water like at a distance through the photo, and this question still open. But if we like consider and hypothesize that yes, it's possible to influence water at a distance through the photo, then our experiment was not in that sense successful, because a group of people maybe wasn't able to, in average, yeah, sometimes we will like have successful effects, but in average among all experiments, we were not successful to affect the water how we were doing, in the way we were doing. Yeah, and also we had discussion yesterday, probably because like instructions that were provided and description were provided for the experiment for all people. So what instruction was is just to feel gratitude. It's almost nothing about like influence and trying to influence the water. We're trying just to think about like our life and what makes us feel grateful, and you know, be in that kind of state, and just same time send those feelings into the water, and you know, not trying to influence the score, but just doing that stuff. And seeing that have maybe had kind of like opposite effect from just like control, because water that's conductivity was declining less in average than in control experiment. Yes. And there's also open question how influence, you know, like compare like one person compared to like 2 people, 5 people, 1,000 people. Yeah, we don't have those results yet, like in good statistics or anything like this. But there was some people who was like very active on the platform, and they done about 22 passive or active sessions to personal trainings where only they were influencing. And we took that data, also put it on the graph. And this is an orange line. Yeah, so like, you know, like more interesting getting. So that person get, yeah, sorry, here's some mistake on average. That person, you know, had less like peak of this curve shifted even more to 0. So it means the average value of their effect even was a little bit smaller than the group, and smaller, like maybe twice smaller than the control measurements. Yes, I think it's again depends on what people were you know, trying to do during their experiment. And yes, we concluded also in the discussion that we have to tell them just simple thing, just to try to make water more conductive, or try to heat the water, you know, like with your kind of intention. Yeah, so
Anton,
make it more simple. Yes.
the numbers associated with that personal score, that
yeah, it's
right?
Like a mistake. Yeah.
So the other thing I wanted to
fix
mention is that what we see here, what the hypothesis is looking for, is a shift in the mean. And what it looks like is you got a shift in the variance.
Yeah, that's I guess both things. It's like mean, and yeah, it's actually like good. So it's like person maybe, you know, aiming, you know, like when you throw the darts, it's not getting to their like 10, but it's getting like to maybe 5, but all of them kind of around 5. Look at it. So they stuck kind of together. Yeah, that's, I agree. It's also
Well,
very
so
interesting
the
observation.
reason I mention that is because a very similar effect is seen when the target is a random number generator. It's much more likely to see variance effects rather than mean shifts, even though you will see both, but it's apparently easier to get a variance shift.
Wow, that's really cool. Yeah, so it's really interesting, actually. Yeah, okay, if we consider that, it's interesting that in this setting, then one person had a stronger effect than like group of people. And again, we had sometimes like 30 people participating, like sometimes like 5 or 3 people participating, and it was kind of like noticed. Yeah, also didn't have much data on that, just like some observation that sometimes like the more people you have, it's lower effect you would get. Yeah. And again, I think it's everything comes to synchronization, because more people you have, if you have more people without like proper structure, organization, what they're doing, what they're concentrating on, etc., then everybody pulling the water into different directions. So water kind of like, oh, what should I do? What should I do? Like I will do nothing then. Just stay as I am. Yeah. Because like, for example, yesterday we had, or not just a couple of days ago, we had like we tried new type of session. It was just like 4 people participating, and one of the person, everyone were on Zoom, so everybody kind of were interacting, and few people were like professional, this meditation gurus. So they were leading us through some like prayers, some sayings, some kind of state deeping us into. And I want to share with you what we get. It's also just one experiment so far. As usually they say, the first time you try, the best results you'll get. Then the results will go just lower, but we'll see. Yeah. By the way, before that, I will, because I'm already on the website. If you never tried it yet, I will quickly tell how to use it. First of all, like you will need to sign up, run your name, then selecting time zone. It's like important to select right time zone, because then you will book devices in specific time zone. So after you on the website, you have basically 2 options, like even 3 options. First option is just to see whether there's active experiment happening. This is a group experiment, and you can like read about it and then like join experiment, so you can receive some notification. This one will be happening like about 2 days, Tuesday. It's actually organized by Water Peace Project people connected to Masaru Emoto. They're doing this big event on their Facebook each 11th day of the month. Yeah, so this time we're joining them, and we'll try to record like influence. I think maybe there will be like 1,000 people or something watching, compared to based on their previous sessions, what they had. So we're kind of very curious what's going to happen. Yeah, so first thing, you can join already existing experiments. We from time to time posting new experiment. You can also just go and see already finished like group experiment sessions. That's one will just show new results. You can also go and see what results were obtained in that specific experiment. Here in the and in this specific experiment, everywhere you will see this type of graph, again with white area and gray area. So this is time of the session. We were also influencing in the first channel, and it responded pretty good. Also, you will see C and pro values and score. So besides recording just one session, actual session, we also provide information about 3 post sessions, because sometimes results are like delayed. Yeah, I mean, like from my observation, like we still kind of need to focus on this result, because like if your influence was like solid, like you really had some influence, then yeah, don't dig too much. It should be like right there. Yeah, but we still like provide this information just to see what was happening after. Yeah, and it's interesting that for example, in our actual active session, we had such a great score, and after sessions, score is like much lower. And those numbers, when you see the pro values, show that those just like regular sensors values, which kind of looks like a passive session. And then this. So that was a first option, to participate in the existing experiments or new experiments. Whenever something new posted, you will receive a notification email. If you don't receive email notifications and you signed up, just let us know, and maybe also check your spam folder. And next thing is to book actual device. We have here this device provided by Surge. It's located in Germany, and actually it's not one device, it's 4 devices. It's like 4 channels. So we made like a group of devices because sometimes some devices, going unstable. So we made the system of 8 channels, and right before the session, your book session, system will select automatically on which channel you will need to influence, and then that photo you will see during your session. I mean, like, you don't need to like kind of maybe understand much about it, just how it works, like behind the curtains. Yeah, and so what you do, you select the date. You can book device 1 month in advance. You select the date first, then you select the time. Again, pay attention to your time zone. If it's not right here, you click edit, and then select here, and then book the device. Here, for example, we can see that also like how much session already booked for the day. For the Monday already somebody booked 1 session. For today already 2 sessions somebody booked, and then you can see available. Also, like just to let you know how it works, when you book, for example, from 3 o'clock to 3:30, they will be booked 2 hours in advance actually. So nobody else will be able to book the session 2 hours like after you booked, because all this like post effects that sensor may have. So the next person will not get your post effects. We kind of spaced this booking sessions 2 hours apart minimum. So yeah, when you book some session like for tomorrow, it will be like 1.5 hours before your session starts, and 1.5 hours before or after your session finishes. Yeah, so that's a window to make sure you will not get overlapping of effects. I mean, like, we don't know much everything like about how it's like works, but just to make it more like stable to work, we do that things. And okay, for example, let's book some session for, I don't know, Tuesday, and something in the evening to confirm. And then you will see that booked this session. It will start in 2 days. Now you also can select audio track for your session. Before it was just by default selecting standard track. Now you can also like upload your music and then select it here. So some people, maybe want to try different, just like meditation music or music with different frequencies to help them concentrate. There's a whole bunch of music that can support your meditation state. So after you like select it here, sometimes people provide description, what is it for, etc. You can pre-listen it, and then like select. So be selected. So then when after you booked your device, you have 2 options: just to do personal training, and for that you just don't do anything else. Just wait for this scheduled time. And when the time comes, it will be button here, start session. You click on it, you will be transferred to your room for the session. You will see photo of their device, of the sample, water sample. You also will see some breathing animation that help you to keep breathing. If you want to, you can just follow it. Usually it's the sense of the breathing animation. The point of the breathing animation is to synchronize people additionally in the group experiments, and we have like pretty good like synchronization about 100 millisecond like difference. So everybody who participated in the same experiment, like 10 people, 20 people, or whatever, if they follow the breathing animation in the session, they will breathe like in the same phase, technically. Yeah. So it's just kind of like we don't know if it's what it does, if it helps or not yet, but maybe, yeah. So it's just something we wanted to do, and some people like it to just follow the breathing animation. It helps them to stay also focused. Another option, what can you do after you booked your device? You can create experiments. So an experiment here, like you just keep the same because you use your booked device. Some people who own their own devices, they can select use my own device, not booked on the platform. So then you kind of need to fill all this information, etc. But I mean, most people just book their like use booked device. If you have many sessions, you select from here exact time when you booked, provide just title, description, and just some cover image. After you create that experiment, you can keep it private, and you can keep it public. Make it public. So anybody who comes to the platform will see it on the main page and will be able to join. If you keep it not published, then you can just send link to other people, and they will like join only them. So you kind of restrict who actually can participate if you want to do that. And next thing is yeah. So that's also it. Then you wait, one experiment will start, and then you click start session, you join, you see how many people exactly participating, and after the session you will see who actually participated in the session, when they started, how many minutes, how much time they spent in the session, like that kind of information. Initially we were thinking that yeah, sensor will react immediately when somebody new joined the session, so we would be like comparing, this person joined in the middle of session and we had spiked that time, so I mean that person, like there's something special about the person. So let's like see like what other effects they will do. Yeah, but so far, yeah, we don't have that observation that it's individuals when they join different time they have different effect. Yeah, but in general it's kind of interesting to see how much total time people spent in the session. So we just track that information for now. And then this, for example, was our effect a few days ago. I was talking to you, we had the Zoom like meeting with people who are like professionally do different meditations for people, etc. And we got like surprisingly really like low pro value. So it's like almost 0% that zero chance that our effect was random. Yeah. And also if you see this graph, it's also like kind of good thing that's control channel was just, yeah, you can see what channel was actually shown to the person during the influence. Control channel just remained the same, and targeted channel like declined down in this experiment. Yeah, again, it was like first experiment when we were doing this guide meditation during the session, and we will be trying something like this more in our sessions. We will prepare this like audio guidances for the group sessions, where people will actually listen what they need to do during the experiment, and we'll see what will happen in those kind of experiments. Yes. So in general, this is everything I wanted to present, and yeah, let's discuss your questions, etc. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Anton. I think there is a lot of questions in chat. Can you please check it?
Yeah. Okay, how about the music you played during the session? Yeah, so the music we play, so before it was just default music we played, as mentioned, and now like if you do your own, create your own experiment, you will be able to select what exact music you want to like play. And if it's a group session, again, somebody who created the experiment will select. Yeah, that music will keep, but we want to add some voice guidance, some person like professional who's can guide people in their meditation. We want to add that thing and also add specific instructions what people should do, like increase pH of the water, like to think about water, like start heating up, all that kind of thing. Yes.
And could there be mantras?
Yeah, I don't know, maybe I think we'll have many different, we'll try to create many different options for the background music or like mantras or like, many different things. And then people will be able to try them in their personal sessions. And in the group experiments, I think we'll keep consistency in the same experimental group. So if we create like experiment, okay, we have a goal, like make 30 experiments, like in like, I don't know, 2 months, there will be like same people who will send people a mail saying, okay, we need 10 people to participate in this experiment, but we need you always to participate in this experiment. If you think you'll not be able to always come in the experiment, like don't kind of join. If you can, please join and we'll keep you. Yeah, but yeah, about mantras and other things, we'll try to create different options. And also you are able to load your own music now through the website. If you go on the menu music, you can load your own track and then use it during the session and see how it helps you to achieve like stronger results. Like next question about what's the timeline associated with the current graph. So on the graph we have 1.5 hour before the session, the white area, and half an hour of the session. So total graph is 2 hours long. Like someone comments, by my experience in the sessions, several times the reaction of control channels was more evident than the impacted channel. Did other 6 non-involved channels also showed similar reaction? It's a good question, what actually reacts and where's control here. Also had like big discussion about this yesterday. Yeah, even like this device has 2 channels and we consider it only on one. Seems sometimes another channel also react, and maybe because the water become entangled with each other, or I think how can we also like treat different channels? Then, for example, control channel reacted, because as I showed on the distribution graph, even in passive sessions, sometimes they react without like anybody influencing. So it's kind of that's control channel reacted. Yeah, I don't know. I can just tell that it just reacted by itself. And as we have those balls falling, sometimes they fall to the like really right side without like nobody like influencing them. Yeah, if you search, want to add something about this channel connection, etc.
Yes, I mean, we had yesterday a huge discussion. We know that, in fact, all the systems working together, they become somehow entangled. And we also performed a lot of experiments and see a kind of joint reaction of all devices under influence. So in fact, we lose in this case a control channel, but we solve this problem in a more intelligent way. We consider control channel as a kind of continuous recording over the time in passive sessions. And all channels, all devices in passive sessions, they represent a control attempt. And for this, let's say, control device, we calculate a probability and some borderline of probability. Whatever values are lower than this boundary, this is random and has no relevance at all. And if there is in session or in some, let's say, out of session, some value over this boundary, then significance is high, and we consider this value as being statistically significant. So we solve this problem in that way. It's absolutely a new issue. We didn't didn't think that before. As we designed all this system, all these experiments. Yes, and Dean, just a comment to you, what you said about variance. Yes, it's again a new things. We'll redesign, set up and algorithms to calculate variance of the system. Yeah.
Thank you very much. Any other questions, suggestions, discussions? Dean.
So in some of the early papers I read from Serge, it looked like things like the rising of the sun and positions of planets and all kinds of things will affect the system. So is that still the case with the ongoing recordings of the online system? That if you look for diurnal effects or solar effects or something, in the very long-term measures, you can see some kind of modulation from these geocosmic factors?
Thank you very much. Yeah, I think also like the question to you, Serge, about how it works in your lab, but I think definitely, the water influenced by all those events, kind of from space, etc. Only thing we can really do, just to have statistics about it, do measurements at different times, and
Right, but given that there is the long-term database now, there may be times to do experiments where there's the least amount of environmental influence. Do you know what those times are?
I don't know, Serge. What we have, yes, all these recordings over the year of the past sessions. We can analyze and see if we can have some, repeatability of some strange effect at the same time of the year or something like this. We can, I think it would be cool to have that, to understand that and kind of use it in the experiment to adjust the data.
Mm-hmm.
Serge, what do you say about influence of other systems?
Yes, we know this effect. We tested it multiple number of times with operator and without operators, because operator involve a new dimension of unpredictability. So it's not really handleable in the way there's a lot of disturbances, motivation of operator. We tested with devices. So it's one device, it's sending one impulse, let's say 2 times per day, and sensors are continuously recording. And we perform these experiments as long-range experiments between Stuttgart and Moscow, Stuttgart and some city in China, really long-range experiments. And devices that are continuously sending pulses. And here is recording. And one interesting observation, if we start, let's say, 2-3 days before full moon, and then the whole experiment is going over full moon time, 2-3 days after the full moon. So normal probability, I would say between 75% and 85-90%. So if you, for instance, perform 10 attempts, so about 7 attempts are successful. So we estimate 2 days, let's say 75%, then it goes down to 20, 30, something, very deeply, in the minus, so in the low probability. And then after full moon, it goes back again to 75, 80. There's more or less some confirmation, or let's say some indication that full moon could have some impact on these long-term experiments.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So given that information, adjusting when people sign up to do experiments, you may want to block out periods saying historically it doesn't seem to work very well now. So don't set up an experiment for this time.
Yeah, it'd be a good thing to do. Yes, please. Your microphone is off now. Sorry, your microphone is off. On the bottom left, it says mute, unmute. Bottom left usually, yeah.
So there is a physicist named Schnorr in Moscow. He dedicated his life to such questions, and he wrote a book about it. You can download it from the internet. And he sees that all kinds of different chemical reactions and radioactivity are influenced in the same way over the day and over longer periods, but I don't have all details in mind now.
Thank you very much. Yeah, we heard about them. So talked about him yesterday with Vladimir Vayekov. Yes, Cornelia, hi.
You can also get some data from, for example, for a website for NASA. NASA collects every day the electromagnetic field changes of the Earth and also the sun data. So perhaps you can check the data you have already from your running experiments, because your device is running permanently. And perhaps you can check in comparison to the data of the KP index, for example.
Yeah, I agree. Good idea. Thank you. Hi, John. Yeah.
Yeah, so I think it's only today that I got a much better picture of how the statistics are computed. And after participating in quite a few experiments and looking at the statistics,
yeah,
it's not clear, especially the second one, the one where you're comparing the results in the past 1 week with what the experiment gave. But the question I have is, did you do many what? You just showed us one of the passive sessions. You just gave us one curve. But if you did several of them, would they give similar curves, or would they give a whole range of possible curves? Did you try to find that out?
Yeah, if I did like not 24 hours before passive sessions, but like 25 hours, 20 like 3 hours, yeah, actually like did that, and yeah, they going like they also have like, I need to compare. I didn't remember about how wide distribution, but if I check their average values, they going like up and down, like you're correct. So it's going like different thing. But yeah, when I was like analyzing and trying to understand the physical, it's like sense of that graph where you have, let's say 48 hours for like a few months, like each spot is average value for 25 measurements over 2 months, but specific time of the week. Then like, yeah, I get like different like these variations, but kind of didn't understand how to like, yeah, put it in the physical like explanation. It's like mathematically like make understand what I did, but like physically, what does it like mean? Like I didn't understand. Yeah, still need to like, yeah, there's a lot of data. Still need to like do. I just also didn't try to like, okay, we got this and this, and was like, yeah, I was like trying to search more like, okay, what we can compare with just like one person also bring them, etc. But there's still more to like search and understand, and like we build experiment because we initially like made experiment, and then we start thinking what data we need, kind of this. Yeah, again, as told, we just set the experiments to play here to see how it goes, and then okay, we have some this like data, and then see what we can like analyze about. But now we kind of have some experience and want to build experiment with specific like goal to have like what are we kind of focusing on now. That's a good comment. Thank you. Somebody also had a hand. comments? Vladimir? I know you are thinking about something. Yes. Not yet. Don't hear you. I think you need to select specific microphone. Cannot hear you yet. It's maybe on the bottom, the arrow, like drop down near the microphone. Okay. Okay. Slowly something coming, but maybe sensitivity of microphone is. If you click on microphone on the left and then drop down audio settings.
Anton, probably we can briefly give some feedback from yesterday from this discussion, so that mostly we always consider this as a kind of training with feedback. So you have a kind of mental imagination and you see a feedback, and you can correlate whatever you do mentally with an objective, whatever is happening in objective world. But we lose this, basically we lose this in the platform. And the platform is very complex exercise, and what we basically probably see that we need to decrease the complexity level of that exercises. So, and we had this discussion yesterday, and we think how to decrease to provide, let's say, just, I mean, we started this experiment. The device was in the short distance, about 5 meters. And then we really see if we, for instance, sitting and watching TV and then switch our focus of attention to this device, and we immediately see a feedback. So all this experiment started in that way. And basically, if the device is far, far away and you do not see it, it's a kind of next complexity level. And now, I mean, we're basically missing exactly this basic level of complexity where you can see device and you can link this feedback to your mind exercise. So, and there was one of discussion yesterday, and we still think about this, either to integrate some EEG, what we use, this kind of EEG device, and we do a local feedback from EEG just to learn what is a consciousness stage most useful for this kind of experiments. There's one possible way. Another way, Anton, probably you can tell more, kind of dedicated or targeting concentration exercises. Yeah, not just because what we assume, if we relax, and relaxation, they do not contribute to this, let's say, unusual consciousness states. You have to be really in a very specific stage of consciousness. And to stimulate the stage of consciousness some other ways. There is one of discussion what we probably it makes sense to improve. Yeah.
Yeah. And also, like, I think it's also a good thing about our world, our nature, that maybe it's not so easy to influence, water or like other objects. If it's so easy to do it, I don't know what kind of world would it be like. Everybody, okay, can make your water like bad, maybe, or like I don't know what kind of intentions people may have. So it's good that nature is at least somehow stable and it's not so maybe impactful, but simple thoughts. But those people who dedicate and have good intention and grow in this, I guess they can train themselves and like use those like instruments to like feedback for themselves. Yeah, I think, I believe that, I mean, if there is like a strong effect, like it will be measured, like no matter what conditions, no matter what moon maybe even phase has something, it will be like detected. But I guess for people like who have less those abilities, it's a little bit more complicated, and they need more sensitive systems to start, going that direction. It's like this. But in general, it's also good that it's not that easy to to affect the water. Okay, any other questions?
I'm going to need to take off.
All right, thank you very much.
Okay, thank you then.
Okay, good to see you.
Okay, then probably we will then finish, yes, just a short announce for the next time. We try to do this every Sunday at exactly the same time, just to keep it periodically. And next time we have a great speaker, Jeremy Pfeiffer from California. He has a lot of experience with different devices, with different experimentation. He worked with impedance spectroscopy and, Anton, please correct me, a kind of crystal building, yeah? Yes.
Something like this. Yeah, he like worked also with this Masarimoto, you know, like, and EVAPO method, you know, different methods for study, yeah, like weak impacts on the water.
Yeah, yeah. So Jeremy is our good friend, and we invited him to share his great experience in this, and you are welcome for the next seminar next week.
Yeah, thank you everyone for coming.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
See you. Bye-bye.
Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Veronique.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
I still have one question. Is it still possible?
Yeah, of course.
Okay, there we try to influence water. Now, in physics, there is always a two-way relationship. And if I push you, it pushes back me. So if I'm sitting here next to my bottle of water and try to influence something, will this bottle of water get this and push something back to me? Will the water that I try to influence push something back to me?
It's an interesting thing. Like I'm thinking about information. You know, it's like physically, yes, when you do it, you push an object, it pushes back. But if you give somebody information, you know, you tell a person information, or you like write in the book, or like on the notebook. I mean, it's kind of doesn't write in your head back. I mean, if it's, you know, like kind of in my head, always two types of interaction, like energetic, physical interaction, like solid, and then informational interaction. If this interaction with water is kind of like informational, then it's not necessarily that, yeah, just based on analogy. I don't know, experiments or anything like this. Yeah, but just based on analogy, like maybe not necessarily. What do you think, Serge?
We try to lower the conductance, the resistance of water. Now, this could, if the water gives some similar information back to me, it would lower the impedance of my body too, perhaps. Perhaps this would be some loop that would decrease that impedance the longer we conduct the experiment.
So it's a loop that you influence water, increasing impedance, and water influence you, increasing your personal impedance?
Yes, and it would be some explosion, perhaps.
Because it's kind of like,
or ping pong of this effect, so it increases to infinity.
yeah, but okay, if you like theoretically think about it, you kind of like increasing like impedance, it increases your impedance, but it's not necessarily like feedback happening. That, yeah, what actually you increasing that impedance using your like just thinking, for example, right? That thinking doesn't come from a level of impedance in your body. You know, like, so there is no like actual loop that just, yeah, maybe, okay, it's just theoretical if water increases your impedance, but that impedance will not increase your way of thinking. Yeah, or influences water, I think. Yeah, it's just my mind experiment, I guess. But I don't know, I think like it's how you think, maybe, you know, if in your head, like in your view, how you see the world, it's how it will work, and you kind of like believe in it. Sometimes I think if the person will believe that they can fly, so they're so sure that they go on the top of the building and can just kind of jump, and they so sure, I mean, like they're not sick, you know, they're like healthy and in the head. So if they're so sure they're gonna fly, they will fly, but nobody will do that because they know they're gonna fall. Yeah, but if they would be so sure, maybe they will like really fly if they're really gonna do it. Yeah, so it's also what I was talking about is practitioners who doing different like methods, you know, some people like doing all these pictures, so like somebody healing with numbers, etc. You know, sometimes you think so like, well, those methods just people like created all these numbers, like happy numbers or something that heal people, like, you know, from some point of view, like this is just a number, like, you know, like what gives this number power, you know, like many years ago we didn't have those numbers, but technically then the people created put some kind of like power in those like numbers, and they believe in them. You know, everybody thinks they're like birds of number, maybe like something special about it, and yeah, they create over the years the confidence, and I guess that's, you know, human maybe so complicated like thing with all these energies or something else going on inside. So if you like believe in that thing, then maybe energy flows somehow, somewhere, and then it has effect. But so I guess it's everything about ways we believe in, and maybe when people like do science, they do experiment just to convince themselves that it's like possible, or yeah, I don't know, just like ideas. Sometimes I think phenomena maybe even can be created. When I was like working like many years ago, working with this like informational medicine project, when information from pill were transferred on the plastic disc, and the water would put on the plastic disc, and it would have like healing effect. I was thinking, you know, like, because so many people saying it's not possible, but then like practitioners said it helps them to do. So I was starting to think, yeah, maybe that phenomena didn't exist before, right? But then because like somebody like decided, yeah, maybe it's possible, so they kind of start doing some experiment. Maybe that experiment was not like good quality even, but then that still convinced that original person that they were so strong, and with their energy they convinced just other people. So some number of people were like who believe in this, so growing. So with that amount of people, the phenomena kind of like start becoming like real, you know, like, and it has real like changes in water, real this, and then it happened that like loop, like positive feedback loop, then really made the thing possible. I don't know, just the thoughts.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for your questions.
Okay.
Yeah.
Then guys,
hi Artur as well. We didn't say hi to you.
Goodbye.
Goodbye. Yeah.
And many thanks for organizing that.
Yeah, Serge, thank you very much for organizing this.
Great pleasure for me. Okay, bye.
Goodbye.